Motion design, the current hot topic, and I am Dushan Dubey. Little bit about me: I was pursuing geological technology from IT Roorkee, and somehow I ended up becoming a motion designer. I interned at Fractal Design Studio, Recipe, and Microsoft. I am currently at Recipe building motion from scratch. Let's start with a quick question: motion versus animation. What is the difference between two of them? Okay, so motion means movement, and the only difference between animation and motion is changes like opacity and color. There is no movement in it. That is the only difference. But for the sake of our convenience, we are assuming these two things same, whatever we want to use. Now we are all here watching this video, and I guess most of you have plans to learn this art. One of you might want to learn UI animation to show developers how the transition should look like. One might just want to animate some graphics and put it on social media. And even I started because moving things look cooler than just static illustration, right? But as I got more into it, like over the 4 years of my design learnings, I realized that there is more to it than just motion graphics. To give you a clear picture of this topic, we need to deep dive into different motion design field first. I have divided it into three main sections, mainly in the context of a tech company. The first is the UX motion. UX motion has a specific purpose. We are not supposed to add any unnecessary motion, and most of the time it ends up becoming a distraction. Purpose can be anything that improves usability and remove user flow hurdles. Later on we will come to these purposes. Second is the storytelling. It's the part of UX motion, but its only purpose is to educate and demonstrate things by telling some sort of story. So I kept it separate from the UX just to make things simpler. The third is video production. Any kind of animated videos, short or long, which bring the audience to the platform or landing pages that educate potential user about the products. Now let's see some example of these three cases to give you even more insight. First is interaction. One of the output of UX motion where elements are interactive. The purpose could be providing feedback or more context to the user. By the way, to the side note, interaction are basically of two types, real time and non real time. Just to give you an example, suppose you are scrolling your feed on Instagram and post is moving with your thumb movement. That is real time interaction. But if you give a quick scroll and post, start scrolling and stop with some ease, that is a non real time interaction that happen with your thumb gesture. Other example of interaction are icon animation and tab bar icon to provide feedback. Transition, another output of UX motion. So continuity is essential because it's mimic real behavior. Suppose you are in your room and someone just appears in front of you. You will get shocked and surprised. It is also valid for digital products, and these hardcut can increase the cognitive load by the sudden surprises. And these transition can solve more than you think. Like this particular transition aims to provide feedback and set a mental model of what is out of view and give more context. Like you see page flip animation before you open the first page, that somehow inform the user that pages are layered, and that gives you an idea of how to interact with the UI. Next one are the loaders to provide feedback on delays in the process. This current loader is also show what is going on. These are better than showing a generic spinner, and that could be an excellent way to make waiting period less frustrating. One more example, this one is showing the success and failure of your waiting efforts. Motion system, part of design system. To define the field of products, it contains different UI components, animation, principle, and various other things. We can discuss this later because it contains too many things. Storytelling, telling any sort of story to demonstrate or educate the user about features or a process. For example, guiding user about a feature as soon a person is sharing file with a nearby person. Onboarding animation for first time user to give educate about app and their features. There are cases when you want user to engage with your product. So instead of showing a text message, you show message with a specific story, which can enhance the user experience of your product. Also, there are times when you need feedback from the user about the services. So it's essential to make it more engaging and interactive. And animation has that power to grab attention and encourage the user to put their input, although it comes under interactions. UI motion makes UI more expressive and tells user a story. It's different from UX motion. It can be present on landing pages or maybe in any onboarding process to help user understand the UI. Next is video production to bring potential users to landing pages and platform from different social medias. It's great to approach to tell a story from animation and it grabs more attention of people than just a static story. Videos can be used in telling a product story or how to use a certain application. As I divided all these types in context of a tech company, video brings potential users from social media to the landing pages, and the landing pages direct them to the platform via emails. In my opinion, user experience start from the landing pages itself as they can provide a story plus also feed of their products. It contains both UX animation plus stories. And bringing users to platform is as much as important as keeping them on the platforms. There are other areas as well, like data visualization using motion, of course animation in movies, AR and VR also contain motion, and in game design, helping out game developers in motion behavior of characters and objects. So till now, whatever I showed, I have not used the word delight for any example because motion has its purpose. You hear a lot like motion being delight, but somehow it put the wrong impression on it, and people consider it as an add-on only. A great product that fulfills user need instantaneously as they need, it gives them a happy feeling. And if that particular product is unable to provide that delight, it has possibility of improvements. Delight is present in every aspect of design. As I am saying all these things, a motion designer saying that motion is essential, that doesn't imply anything. So to prove that how we don't think about providing delight, we aim to fulfill a purpose. For that, we need to look at the process of building motion. Plus, any design process help you a lot in getting less back and forth feedback. Plus, it maintains a high quality of work in terms of creativity and details. So let's deep dive into the process. The very first step is to discover at what particular place motion is needed. There are three ways to discover them. The first one is doing a motion audit. By this process, you can point out stages which you think are hurdles in the user's journey while using the product. And motion can help in reducing those hurdles. And how motion can help in reducing those hurdles. Start with the primary task flow. If the user want to make a payment, then start from the home screen, then follow the task flow. And you can cover all the possible flow one by one. And it's possible that the product already has motion implemented in some places. So it's good to do a bottom up study for its brand traits and provide a similar feel in its motion. The second way is to perform usability testing and interviews. You can get various insight as you see user attempting to complete tasks. Also, user have question regarding the product likes I don't know where to focus, what to do next. To give you an example, user get confused when they see this UI and perceive as modal on top of a modal, and they think that they can't see the lower modal content. Motion can solve all such kind of confusing UX problem easily. The next is prototyping stage. I will not say the prototyping stage, but Whenever product designers start thinking about flows and interactivity, at this stage, designer not able to put much focus on better interactivity, just making left-right transition or opacity up animations. As you can see in this transition, it would have taken a lot of time and effort, but motion designer can help at this stage and build better and more contextual prototypes. After discovering the opportunity, next step is to understand the users, empathize toward them, do some research or interview them, and understand the brand and its principle for whom you are designing. The next step is to align the purpose of animation and get buy-in from the team. Show how this animation can help in user journey by telling the animation's key features. These can be the purpose of your animation, feedback, cause and effect, focus, orient, and give more context. I will go in depth into these in a few seconds. Coming on the fifth point, as I told you before, storytelling can be a purpose of animation to demonstrate features and processes. The last thing is to don't use animation just for sake of it. Find a better purpose and don't make things complicated. It can end up as a distraction. Now coming back to these purposes, these are very generic. It can be more particular as you start solving for the product. Let's start with the first one. Purpose to orient and give context. To give you a very basic example, suppose you are new on Instagram and you want to see your DMs. You will tap on paper plane icon and then this animation happens. And this animation orient and educate the spatial relationship between interface, which create a mental modal. Now because of this mental modal, you know that you can swipe left and open your DMs. Similarly, in this case, you can't fit a large amount of content on a single screen. Even if you do, then it will create confusion for the users. And motion has a remarkable ability to bring and send elements from off the screen. Using animation to show where animation has moved to, which animation has newly appeared, and which elements were there all along. Such shift in context is easier to follow when changes can be followed visually. There are less chances of user losing their places and less chances of them to be unsure if they are looking at is indeed still the same content or not. Like in this case, thumbnail changes to slightly more detailed card and then on click the icon changes to a more detailed modal, and by visual continuity of image it educates the user about context change and orient the user to new content. See this icon animation. Context change can also involve changing the current interaction mode. Animating the context change help make the fact that the current mode of interaction has switched and the purpose of element in view have changed. Like it changed from tweet to message icon when you open your DMs. If you notice in WhatsApp, mic icon changed to send icon as you start typing. To direct focus and attention, like you can see animation added this animation to grab attention on this icon and wants user to sign in. And in this, after the user pin the board, it moves to bottom and user eye flow carries with it. And after board disappear in the bottom, two notification appears from the bottom. And if you notice, these animation hold your eye flow during the entire process and made it easier for you to follow up on what's happening. And places where user need to perform a task, maintaining the user focus using motion will do a great job in completing the task. To show cause and effect. Cause and effect show the potential effect of what could happen or what has happened during an interaction. Like in this example, as you move the cursor down to the selection, a slide animation happens that guide that if you click, the new note will add up. This particular animation happened when I was trying to scroll up the menu from very bottom of the screen. But this animation plays and guided me to scroll from this place, not from the very bottom. By showing cause and effect, it handles error and guides what is the correct way to complete the task. This animation shows what's happening as the user selects These four files are at their original place even when users select all of them and start to drag them in a folder, but with the help of animation, it provides cause and effect of your action before it even happens. To provide feedback. Feedback let user know that something has taken place behind the scenes based on their actions. Without feedback, users are left to wonder if their request was acted upon or heard at all or not. Good feedback keeps the conversation between interface and user going during the unavoidable waiting periods. The attention-grabbing power of animation is one of the reasons that animation can be so useful for giving feedback. First one is from LinkedIn. When you click on notification icon, it takes time to load the whole page. But if this animation were not there, you would get confused if something happened or not. And second one gives feedback at every stage. When you click on the download icon, it changes to loader, which gives you feedback that your action is taken place. And as this loader animating, it provides feedback about file is downloading. And when it gets downloaded, it changes to a tick mark and give feedback of completing of task. Your action can lead to success or failure, and it's important to provide feedback of human or system errors. And to better communicate with users about such errors, an animation is better way to tell that and grab attention, as you can see in this example. Again, the purpose and main aim are to reduce hurdles and solve user problems, which leads to delight user eyes and reduce cognitive load. Coming back to the process, the next step is to fill your brain with inspiration. Don't copy ideas, of course. Doing a competitor study can tell how well competitors solve a problem and if there can be a better way. You can take inspiration from different apps for UX motion, but it's hard to download and check every app. So there are sites of interface animation, or you can look for inspiration from sites like Dribble. By the way, there was a time when I used to spend hours scrolling in Dribble. Other than all these, nature is biggest inspiration. Like you see this interaction, can you think from what this particular animation field might be inspired of? So it's so it mimics the nature of magnets or magnetic field and springy nature at the end. So observe around and seek inspiration. You can get great example around you. And I think inspiration is already process, not just at the time of designing. Keep getting inspired. You never know what can give you a great idea. Next is brainstorming. Like as I just said, good ideas can hit you anytime, anywhere, mostly walking, in shower, or while eating. It happens because during such activities, our mind is relaxed and are in full creative mode. But as a designer, you can't wait for idea to hit you. You have to bring your ideas. There are a few ways to do that. First one is free writing. Free writing is an unedited, continuous stream of consequences thoughts written down. The goal of this exercise is to tap into our raw creativity and invoke the unseen area of our mind. Free writing will often bring up unexpected ideas, thoughts, and emotions or memories. As you do free writing, you find some insightful keywords which can impact to the concept. These keywords become a word list which helps to structure our thought process. Next is mind mapping. Mind maps are the information graphics that display the inner landscape of our mind. It's just a visual way to represent our thoughts and ideas. Mind map needs a focal point from which your keywords and thought structure can orbit. Next is do's and don't list, which gives you a boundary to your thoughts and idea and guide you. Mind maps expand possibility and display association, while do's and don't list reduce and amplify a project through specific choices. I personally do mind mapping and do's and don't list, then scribble my initial ideas. It's the same as do's and don't list, creating guidelines for yourself or to give direction to someone who might work on similar project in future. It's same as motion system to follow the same field. If such guidelines already exist, then no need of this step. Just check all the guidelines related to motion. Next is storyboards. To visualize and show your ideas to the team, you need to create a storyboard. Try not to fall for your first idea. I personally try to follow divergent and convergent method in which I used to come up with at least 3-4 good ideas then choosing one from it. The next step is making a prototype after confirmation of idea. I personally use After Effects for it. It lacks interactivity though, but tools doesn't matter until whatever you imagine can be created exactly using the tool. Also, while animating UI and illustration, you need to follow motion principles like easing, follow through, anticipation. But for me, I don't think about principle much. I try to move things as much as in natural way as I can. And I personally think the more you observe around you, the motion principle becomes so obvious to you. For example, if you move your hand to grab your water bottle, you first go with ease in, then ease out. You will not go with full ease in and crash your hand with the bottle. Also, I'm not saying that you need to follow natural behavior every time. If you want to surprise the viewer, then you can go out of the box. After the animation, it's important that whatever you created should implement it exactly. For that, you need to send more than just a video of your animation, like specification about what was the duration of animation of each element, easing of those elements. You can create a detailed spec of each element's motion. I prefer to use Spectre Spacetime plugin, which auto creates a text spec of motion for developers to check back. Design is a continuous evolution, and to complete that cycle, as I showed in step 0, usability testing can be performed. So this was the whole detailed process of UX motion, and I hope it made my point. By the way, just to short it down, this long process, step 0, 1, 2 can be paired together for planning of motion. Step 3, 4, 5, 6 is part of ideation, and for me, it's not a rigid process. The process can evolve over time, and it also depends on project type. Like designing for micro interaction, instead of making a storyboard of 3-4 ideas, I directly jump to animation part. Creating 3-4 micro animation are less time consuming for me. Now, now this was all about the UX process. If you remember, I put the storytelling part separately. I will quickly go through additional steps in the storytelling design process. First, you need to understand the brief if the project comes to you and define the animation purpose. Next, there is an additional step of visual type. I will come to that in a minute. Mood board help in defining feel and visual style of animation. Then there are visual creation and style frames. Style frame are the key event of the story. It helps visualization of whole scenes. You animate elements one by one, but sometimes what happens that your whole scene doesn't look good together. So you must create style frame after designing visuals and before animating it. And there are few additional steps in video production. Then storytelling designing process. After the mood board, you can write down the whole story and plan your script. Here, storytelling skills can help a lot, like the phases and the curve of the story, setting the plot, climate, and resolution. Animatics are the rough video of sketches. It can help a lot where production cost is high and to see whether the story is working or not. Now, coming to visual type, I prefer to divide into three types: abstract, motion, and characters. It's good to decide first how you wanna connect with users. Abstract shape have low connection ability. Objects are average. Characters can connect at higher level, but size of file can be larger for characters and it can be challenging to implement in your products. And abstract shape have smaller file size. But abstract storytelling capabilities are low as it's not sure if abstract can communicate a story well or not. As I divided abstract, object and character, there is no hard line between them. You can mix match them together. So that's all about the process. Now how to get started into motion design. If you want to learn motion design, I would say first start with learning a tool. I started learning the After Effects from various YouTube tutorials. Observe around you, get inspired by physics and nature, build your process, and then keep learning new things and practice. I'm sharing few resources to start from. It was free when I watched it, but now it's paid. This one and this one are the video production process. If you want to learn UI animation, then you can go and check out Saptarishi YouTube channel. And if you are interested in UX motion, this is the best resource for you. Other side skills can give you an extra boost in your motion design career. For example, learning UX can help you understand and design better for user problems. Visual design gives you more sense of visuals and makes you less dependent on others. Coding can help you understand what can be created and what is impossible to code. Then there is UX writing, sound design, and script writing, which can help you a lot in video productions. And how to tell a story or communicate well is essential for all. So that's all, and feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.